Ben, talk us through your scenario.
Anybody else want someone?
Yeah. So this particular scenario, we have been doing a piece of work. We're doing a piece of work this year to deliver a project in 2 phases. There's phase 1 and phase 2. They were broadly going to be split 6 months each. Phase 1 overran to about 9 months, so we've now got 3 months to deliver kind of the remaining piece of work. Part of this work uses quite an expensive contract team, so we're using Teradata as a contractor. We agreed to about £500,000 spent at the start of the year on this particular kind of contract resource, of which we spent about half, and we need to spend the remaining half in the next 3 months. And I need to persuade my director, so this is my boss's boss, to take a purchase order to his boss to get sign-off for that particular spend for the rest of the year. Slight background to it is that Rob Hatchell, which is who my director needs to take this purchase order to, hates this contract company, and therefore Chris is very, very reluctant to basically take this purchase order for his sign-off. So he knows he's going to get a bit of a kicking for it. So I think I'm going to get a bit of a kicking for suggesting it. We've already started this conversation, and Chris, my boss's boss, the director, who is very much agreeing, there's very much the details of that, would like to get kind of every kind of nth level of detail as to what's going to be delivered with what resource, why we can't use other resource. But we're at a point now where we need to make a decision to be able to push forwards, otherwise we're at risk of delivering nothing effectively.
Okay.
Is that enough context?
Thank you very much. Great.
And in terms of my relationship with my director, I talk to him every day, kind of personally and through work, so we've got a very good relationship.
Okay.
But he's just very reluctant about going through this process.
Can we make sure that you are in the video?
Yeah,
I just
sure.
realised.
So it would most likely start as quite a kind of informal conversation.
I'm just wondering actually if we might swap places, because the video's on you at the moment and it might be more helpful for you.
Good. Is the actor?
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Great stuff. So you already know him quite well.
Yeah. Yeah, so we talked about him.
Okay.
Okay, how you doing?
Hi there, Chris. How are you doing?
Yeah, good mate.
So Chris, as we mentioned the other day, I said I'd come and have a conversation with you about getting the purchase order signed off for Teradata. So we've got another 3 months left to deliver the rest of the objectives for phase 2. And unfortunately, we're going to need to bring Teradata in to continue developing the solution that we need to cover these objectives.
If you say this, Ben, I mean, why? You seem to have this thing like Teradata. Why?
Unfortunately, it's I'm as reticent as you are, but unfortunately, they're the resource that built phase 1. They understand the solution, and we've done the research, and they're the only people that are going to be able to deliver the objectives that are required for phase 2.
The thing is, you and I both know that they are hugely expensive.
Absolutely.
And I'm not convinced that, what they say, and we had this problem with phase 1, they slip on time, they slip on spec, and they slip on scope every time. And the figure that you give me always ends up being a third higher.
Absolutely. I mean, we didn't. So what I've got here actually, Chris, I've got a breakdown. So you asked for a breakdown of the cost so far for phase 1.
Yeah.
So we've got the cost per period for phase 1 for the objectives that we've delivered so far.
Right.
The slippage was due to kind of an unknown factor that wasn't actually anything to do with Teradata or to do with us. It was something that couldn't be helped. And therefore, there's no reason to suspect that we're going to have similar issues with phase 2. But what I've also done is I've just broken down exactly what we want to achieve in phase 2, with some details of what the spend's going to be. My concern is that we not going to be able to deliver the objectives that we set out at the beginning of the year unless we make a decision on this over the next week or so.
Right.
So just hoping there is support on that.
All right. I'm saying then that Teradata are the only people that can deliver on all three of these objectives.
Yes, they are, absolutely. So anything that can be picked up internally we are doing, but this set of objectives here, as we suggested at the start of the year.
So what exactly are we picking up internally?
So internally we're picking up on the final 4 objectives. So I can give you a breakdown of that as well if you wish.
Yeah.
So the HSE resource and the on-site resource we've got within Tesco are picking up 4 of the objectives. But these particular 3 are specific to the...
I'm just going to pause it there so we can get how do you think it's going, Ben?
Probably as it's going to go when I actually have the conversation. Basically, it's, there's some quite specific things that we need to achieve in the remainder of the year. Chris is going to...
Sorry, I'm just going to stop that a second. We're in our third, so we'll probably be just starting our third, yeah. So we're going to be slightly late for lunch.
But should we do one more though?
No, just go for lunch because we'll probably be finished in about 5-10 minutes. Okay. Yeah. And if you want more time, come back to it. What do you think's going well, and what is going well and what is going to go well is we've both got the same concerns.
So I think it's important not to kind of brush over those, state what concerns are, state what's gone badly previously. And this guy is going to want a little bit of detail around exactly what we're going to achieve in the remainder of the year. So he's going to want it written down, what it pointed, the exact objectives, which is what I plan to give to him. However, he's going to want a level of detail that I'm not going to be able to provide in the timescales. Okay. Do you mind if I give you some feedback? Yeah, that's fine.
I think you're very appropriate in style for this person to Green. Loving the pieces about the detail and talking about the specifics. I think for me that's working very, very well. I feel that your status is slightly low.
Okay.
You're not matching him at all. You're looking like you're wanting to be taken seriously with your body language. You're a little bit. You're not looking relaxed and confident. For me, you're sort of crossing your body language a bit, whereas he's kind of sat back in his chair with playing very high status with you. And
so it's quite, it's interesting you raise that actually, because the way it will go when we actually have this conversation is the guy I'm going to be talking to is quite kind of straight. He'll be sat like this at the desk. This is going to be Chris with hands clasped, chin on his hands, and that will probably be me, sat a little bit more kind of relaxed and open. So it's quite interesting you raised that, because I know how it's going to go kind of in the actual...
I would play around with your body language and raise your status a bit.
So I would mirror it when I mirror Chris, and I know there's going to be something contentious. If he sat like that, I'm going to sit like that. And I'm just going to... It just raises the severity of it. Like, I'm taking this as seriously as you, because that's why he's like that. He wants to. He's focusing because he's agreed. He's there in the moment, focusing on the detail. And if you're there like that as well, it means that you've thought about it. Just your body language says. Whereas if I was to go in and sit like that with Chris, it means I'm a little bit too relaxed. And I think he picks up on that, because I've had an issue once when I went in like that, and I was just trying to be a bit relaxed. And I could see him feeling uncomfortable. So that's the fair point. Chris is that he wants to be there in the moment. So
what I would say is, Rich, the way you played Chris, straight off the bat, the sort of first statement, the pain, sort of, oh, for God's sake, not Teradata again. I get exactly the scenario with Autodesk, exactly the same thing. So.
The other thing I felt one of your habits I see, Ben, is you use unfortunately a lot. You use quite negative language. So, unfortunately, you've got to bring in data, and you said unfortunately a number of times. So it felt like the energy was slipping. So if you'd have come in stronger with your, I've done the research, this is the data I've analysed, and I see, as you know, blah, 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 as we are in agreement with, therefore this is what my suggestion is. You would be more in a stronger position rather than dragging it down energy-wise. Thoughts on you?
Yeah, I agree with you. Why do I keep agreeing with you? That's obviously it. One of the things I did, one of the things I will applaud is even if I were, in fact, especially if I'm sat like this, going, but then if you push that to me, what have I got to do? I've got to engage in it.
Yeah.
So in terms of drawing me in, that's a superb tactic and a brilliant thing to do.
So I would have done it very early on.
Yeah.
Instead of going, unfortunately, I'd have gone, I've done this work.
Yeah.
And that would have said, I'm a resourceful person to plan for this meeting and prepared.
Okay.
Raise your status.
Yeah, what I'm keen to do, what I'm conscious of doing is making sure that I understand his concerns, because I know where he's going to be coming from with this. He at the moment doesn't understand why we have to bring in this expensive resource. And he's concerned about taking it his boss because he's not going to get more expensive.
Yeah, so I
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So get out of the habit of unfortunately and talk plainly. I know that you have a concern with blah blah blah. So what I have done with, I have done this research. So it gets out of the unfortunately low energy trap.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds a bit. Another thing is that when you're talking about phase one, he was showing his concerns that this was overspent, but that you were absolutely and very much agree. Actually, what the positive phase one was about phase two, there must be some successes that you've done. But I never got any successes of what phase one just sounds like phase one was so bad.
Yeah.
Phase two is a clean-up exercise, but it's not really. It's the next step that you would already factored in, but it's how do you build on it.
Yeah.
He is a negative person.
Yeah, so you
But
might.
it doesn't mean you have to agree with it.
No.
Yeah, so you might, and that would raise your status again. Okay, I hear what you're saying there, but have you considered this?
Negative plus a negative doesn't equal the positive.
Yeah, just drives the energy down.
For those who are mathematically minded.
Okay. Trying to think where to take it from again.
Do you want to do the whole thing again? Just start from the beginning.
Yes, yeah.
Would that be easier?
Yeah, probably.
Hi.
Not too bad, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you.
This is just a follow-up to the conversation that we had the other day about Teradata working on phase 2 of the data appliance project. Yeah, so if you remember, we went through the needs for having Teradata support us with the second phase of the project. So now we've successfully delivered phase 1. We need them to support us in delivering the 3 objectives for phase 2.
When you say successfully delivered phase 1, what do you mean by that?
So we've actually got to where we expected to be by the end of the year, within 9 periods. So the phase 2 was always going to be an added extra. So although we overran on the estimates we put together after 3 months, we actually overachieved in terms of where we were at the start of the year. I've put together a bit of a breakdown of the spend so far. So this is the spend on Teradata resource and what we've managed to achieve with that. And then down here, I've detailed exactly what we want to achieve in phase 2 and what the costs are going to be. So as you can see, what I've done is I've tried to work out what we can achieve using Tesco resource and where we're going to need Teradata support, which is on the top 3 objectives.
These figures are high, to say the least. Why are we paying so much?
The reason we're paying so much is we need Teradata expertise to assist us with delivering on the top 3 objectives.
Don't we have any of that expertise already in house?
No, we haven't got anything that can help us with these 3. But what I am trying to do is bring Tesco resource to delivering anything which is non-Teradata specific.
Right.
It does still match up with the resource profile that we agreed at the start of the year. So we're not overspending on contract resource.
No, but we're also not underspending on contract.
No, absolutely we're not. No.
Not spending this kind of money.
What's the concern? Are you concerned around the need for the top 3 objectives?
No, there's a clear need and there's a clear sign-off on that need. What I find difficult with this is the cost versus the benefit. And I'm sure you've done lots of analysis analysis on that. I'm not sure that for the benefit we're getting, that this cost isn't too high.
Okay, can I just time out a second there?
Yeah.
Which is probably fair, because that's the way the conversation is going to go. The objectives that we're trying to deliver for this section are quite diffuse, and they're not particularly well defined, especially from a kind of a return on investment perspective.
Can I say you've suddenly raised your status in your timeout? Are you aware of that?
No.
Okay. Just want to give you a little bit of time. That was so much more high status, so much more positive, clear, and impressive right from the start. You've raised your status there. Your status starts to go a bit. You do a bit of this with your foot, and there's some kind of like, he's getting fed. But when you kind of timed out, you suddenly went, right, and you spoke much more plainly. Why don't you speak to him like that?
I think I probably do. I actually do when I speak to him out of this situation.
Okay, so is it this situation?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, okay, great.
And I know it would be a lot more natural conversation when I have this conversation with him. It's more trying to structure the content of it.
Yeah.
Not what's trying to practice here.
Sure. For me, that was just so much. I mean, how do you feel about that last slide?
Fine, apart from it got a bit stuck in because I'm trying to understand where to go with it now, because what will happen is likely what's going to happen here, and he's going to question the specifics of what we're trying to achieve.
Sure.
But in the next phase for these three objectives, they are quite diffuse. They're not very specific, and therefore they're not going to play to his kind of.
In terms of how you did it that time,
yeah.
What for you was better?
I think leading the conversation more with the material that I'm pre-prepared.
Absolutely.
I think, rather than leading the conversation with the doubts.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it made such a difference. The other thing I think you did really well just then was you explained to him when he had a doubt, but then you kind of did a very high status thing, which was, what's your concern? You cut to the chase and got him talking about himself with a very, very clear question. I thought it was brilliant.
Okay.
Yeah, that was very, very well done.
If he's going to be negative, going to be specifically negative.
Yes. Yeah.
You can combat specific negativity
rather than just a general.
Rather than general territory. I don't like that.
Yeah.
Also, you fought for yourself as well. So you sort of, after the success of the living place, like what's successful about it.
Yeah.
And actually,
you did.
You've done a lot of work on it.
Absolutely.
You should be proud of what you've done.
Yeah. And I thought you kept in there high status wise. That was really well done.
Did the same thing with the budget.
Yeah.
We're still within the agreed limits of the budget that we prepared, that we signed off on at the beginning of the year. So what's your problem? We're within the budget, so what have I spent?
Yeah, no, I wish you were Chris, because I don't understand probably.
Too far.
Yeah.
The only question I'd ask, this doesn't count that you've got the cost of hire, but is there anything you potentially could do or have done this season where you bring those costs?
Yeah, there's probably a definite for almost work with him to actually go through maybe a couple of options.
Yeah. So it sounds like there's a collaboration here.
Yeah, it's really like I don't know how I'm out in detail, but if there are fixed costs that have been agreed with Tesco, who else have you?
I'm working it out, Tommy. Just want to kind of, in terms of behaviours, what are you suggesting he does?
It could be a lot higher, but actually this is where we've got to.
Does he know you're going to have this conversation?
Yeah.
So and I guess it's next, but because when you briefed in, you talked about you felt that his fears and
with a really good business case, as you were saying. So that's a bit of vision and collaboration.